In this video, we're going to see how I emptied out my worm bathtub, how I separated the worm castings from the California Red Wrigglers, and also how I refilled the tub for the new home for those California Red Wrigglers. Well, now I've been keeping California Red Wrigglers in this bathtub for a number of years now, and I really have found no reason to try any other method. For the last few years, I've been harvesting this tub about every 6 months. Now that depends on how many worms you have and how often you feed it. And for the next step, we haul all the goods over here to the staging area, dump it out, and get ready to get to work. So we'll just grab the landscape cloth here and dump the rest out into the wheelbarrow. And now I've been using rocks in the bottom of the bathtub for the last number of years for drainage, but this time we're going to change it up a bit. Okay, well, let's get this started. So I pile it up into a mound, and the idea, the strategy is that due to the fact that the worms are very photosensitive, you just kind of brush away the castings and the worms will naturally just go into the center to avoid the light. I've tried other methods where I just feed one half of the bathtub and wait for the worms to migrate over. That takes a while, and to be honest, I just really enjoy this. As you all know, there's no shortage of things to do at the garden, so you can just leave this, come back 15 minutes later and do it again. Okay, well, while we're getting the worms out of the hummus de lombrice, or the worm castings, we gotta have a place for them to go when we get down to the worm ball. So while we're waiting for the worms to go a little deeper in the pile, we'll just get their new home ready. This takes a while. You gotta rehydrate. These are dehydrated blocks of coconut fiber, 5 kilos each. Ow. Get a little water on there. Let's get this rock in here. Okay, so we're just going to fill this up a bit with some water, and then watch, these will rehydrate quite quickly, and you'll see how much they increase. Now the trick is you don't want to put too much water in. You can always take water out. No, I'm sorry. You can always add more water, but it's difficult to get it out if you've put too much. Okay, well, not hydrating as quickly as I have seen in the past. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of help here. See what we got that's going on. Hory, hory. Look what the professor dropped by. Okay, time to give it another go. Little by little, poco a poco. I finished off a smaller pile, and this is what we've got. Now, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the landscape cloth that I took out of the tub was about half the width of this. And now this wider one is going to allow me to fill the tub right up to the top with coconut fiber and give me a lot more room to work with. I'm also going to add these old leaves and leftovers from the sifting of the compost and the worm castings. Okay, time to get this bathtub filled up with the goodies. So I like to do it in layers, you know, get some layers of some leaves, and then some of the leftover from the orange peel compost. Just like a little layer cake. Well, normally in the past I only used 2 5-kilogram blocks of the coconut fiber, but now that I have this new landscape cloth in here, I have enough room to soak another one, so to get some more product in the tub. Okay, so after a few hours of farting about the garden, here comes the moment of truth. Look at those beauties. So I set the scale for the weight of the container previously, so that gives us an honest 2 kilograms of California Red Wrigglers. Welcome back home. So here I'm just topping it off with the rest of the coconut fiber. And as far as the moisture level is concerned, just give it the squeeze test. You don't want too many drops coming out of your fist as you're squeezing it. And I also have a bucket underneath there to collect the runoff. Okay, so I'm going to leave the worms unattended for a period of time. So I want to make sure that the shade is bomb-proof here. I can't afford to come back from my time away and see that one of the shade cloth is falling down, because if they do, the worms will die. It'll get far too hot in there and I'll come back to a bathtub full of dead worms. These worms are going to have it made in the shade. So I went down to the local hardware store and bought 5 meters of shade cloth. So I went through and tacked up the shade cloth with my staple gun, make sure it had a nice fit. And then to secure it off at the end, I put up little slats of wood with some screws to keep it in there all nice and tight. Much better. If it gets too hot, you could always just open a window.